I didn't mean to become the town villain. At least, that's what it looked like on the surface. One day I was just the quiet guy dating Sarah, the sweet girl from the local bakery. The next, half of Pine Hollow whispered about how I ruined her brother's life. But here's what no one asks me. What if he deserved it? It all started the weekend Sarah invited me to her family's lake house. We'd been dating for just under a year, not long enough for holiday traditions, but long enough to meet her parents, and way too long to keep dodging her older brother, Dean. Dean was the kind of guy you'd see in local commercials. White teeth, smug smile, town football hero turned part-time entrepreneur. Except I'd done my research. Most of his businesses were just failed drop shipping scams and investments in shady crypto apps. But Sarah adored him. She talked about him like he hung the moon. He's just intense. She'd said once when I asked why Dean never responded to my texts, he's protective. What she didn't mention is that protective meant territorial. The lake house was supposed to be peaceful. Just me, Sarah, her parents, and Dean for a long weekend. The first night went fine grilled steaks, awkward small talk, her mom trying too hard to make me feel welcome while Dean stayed glued to his phone. But the second night, everything changed. We were sitting around the fire pit, a little tipsy off wine coolers and cheap whiskey, when Dean finally decided to talk to me. "So what do you actually do again?" he asked, leaning back in his chair like he owned the stars above us. "I'm a software engineer," I said, "mostly security systems. Right coding." He smirked. "I guess some people are into that nerdy stuff." Sarah rolled her eyes. "Dean, what? I'm just saying it's not exactly impressive, is it?" He continued. "You fix printers for a living or what?" I laughed, trying to play it cool. "Actually, I helped design the fraud detection protocols for a few major banks, so I guess I stopped guys like you from selling fake Bitcoin to grandmas." His smile dropped. Just for a second, but it was enough. Sarah laughed not hard, but just enough that I knew Dean noticed. It was quite the rest of the night. The next morning, my laptop was missing. I checked everywhere. My backpack, the living room, even under the couch cushions, nothing. Sarah looked worried. "Did you maybe leave it in the car?" "Nope." I said, my stomach sinking. "I always keep it with me." Dean came down the stairs sipping coffee like he hadn't slept with the devil. "Lose something, champ?" I stared at him. "Have you seen my laptop?" He blinked slow. "Nope, why would I?" But I knew something was off. Later that day, I got an email from my work account, except I didn't send it. It was addressed to one of our clients, contained a script that looked like mine, and attached a data dump that could have cost our company thousands, and worse, it had my digital signature. My blood ran cold. I ran outside, phone in hand, calling my boss, explaining, panicked, that I hadn't sent anything, that I was at a lake house, that my laptop had been stolen. He sounded calm, too calm. "Don't worry, Mason," he said. "We already know." "Know what?" "That you didn't send it." I blinked. "Wait, what?" He continued. "The timestamp was off. It showed your laptop sending the data at 4 a.m., but it was also broadcasting a nearby Bluetooth signal to a device registered as Dean's iPhone." I froze. "You tracked it." "We track everything, Mason. Security, remember." I ended the call in a daze. Dean hadn't just messed with my stuff, he tried to frame me. And he wasn't smart enough to know I'd built the very system he used to try and ruin me. When I walked back inside, he was in the kitchen, still wearing that smug smile. "You know," I said slowly, "you should have unplugged my Bluetooth module. That's rookie stuff." He stopped stirring his coffee. "What?" I stepped closer. "You framed the wrong guy." He scoffed. "You're full of it." But I didn't answer. I just pulled out my phone and pressed play on it. A recording of him talking to someone on speakerphone the night before. "I've got his laptop. Gonna make it look like he leaked something. Dude's too soft to fight back." His voice, crystal clear. Dean lunged. I dodged and backed away. Sarah came in at the worst possible moment, just as he grabbed my arm and shoved me hard into the wall. "Dean," she screamed. He stopped cold, eyes wide. I stared at him, rubbing my shoulder. "That's assault. You provoked me." He barked, already sweating. I turned to Sarah. I didn't lose my laptop. He took it. Tried to use it to frame me. She looked at him. "Then me, then back again. Dean, is that true?" He didn't answer, but his silence said everything. This was just the beginning, and I wasn't about to let it go. I don't know how long I stood there, just staring at that damn door in disbelief. It looked old. Not in a creaky horror movie kind of way, but like it had been sealed and forgotten, only now dusted off and used again. There was no visible handle on the outside, just a keyhole, and not the modern kind either. This was something out of a vintage mystery novel. I should have left it alone, I know that, but curiosity and anxiety are a dangerous mix. I snapped a photo of the door and sent it to Jake with a quick message. Hey man, random question, was this always here? Found it behind your closet panel. No response. I stared at the screen, then sent another. Kinda weird, dude. Let me know. All good, though. Still nothing. I stood there, holding the flashlight, heart hammering. I wasn't about to break into anything, not yet. So I left it and tried to distract myself. I made a sandwich I didn't eat, played some dumb shooter game for 20 minutes, checked my phone, nothing. When I finally fell asleep that night, I left my bedroom door open. At 2:42 a.m., I woke up to the distinct sound of creaking floorboards. Coming from Jake's room, I froze. We live in a 2-bedroom unit, pretty average layout, wood floors, thin walls. I know what the house sounds like. And that wasn't the settling kind of creak. That was pressure, weight, steps. I lay there holding my breath. Kriak, closer. I sat up and grabbed the bat I kept beside the bed. I know cliché as hell, but Jake once got mugged 2 blocks away, and I'm not exactly Bruce Lee. The hallway was dark. I inched toward Jake's room, the bat slick in my sweaty palm. His door was closed, but the footsteps had stopped. I raised my hand to knock, then paused. That's when I noticed it. His door wasn't fully shut. It was just resting in place, not latched. Jake always closed his door all the way. He was weird about privacy, even in his own house. I pushed it open slowly. Room's empty. Exactly how he left it, except the closet panel was wide open and the secret door unlatched, just slightly, like someone had stepped out, then thought better of it. I backed out and locked myself in my room the rest of the night. The next morning I decided I needed backup. I texted my friend Lena. Me, hey, I found something weird at the apartment. Can you come by later? Lena, weird like. Bugs or weird like buried treasure. Me, weird like secret door in my roommate's closet. Lena, I'm bringing holy water and snacks. She showed up that afternoon with a Red Bull, 2 granola bars, and an old Swiss Army knife. Her energy was ridiculous, which is probably why I felt safe enough to go back in. We opened the closet together. You're not screwing with me, right? She asked, crouching beside the door. Nope. She ran a finger along the keyhole. This isn't new, but someone's been using it. Look, the dust is wiped clean around the frame. She was right. I hadn't noticed it last night, but now in daylight you could see the smudges, like fingers pulling it open, repeatedly. Then she looked up at me, we opening it. I don't have a key. She grinned. Don't need one. Lena had dated a locksmith for like 3 months. She always joked that she picked up some useful tricks, turns out. She wasn't kidding. It took her maybe 5 minutes with a hairpin and a tension wrench from her multi-tool. When the lock clicked, we both stepped back like it might explode. She reached forward, slowly pulling the door open. It swung inward, revealing a short, descending staircase. Stone walls, dim, musty air. Old light bulbs strung overhead, the kind you see in horror movies, bare, dusty, and definitely not up to code. What the hell? Lena muttered. We both stood at the edge of the stairs. I looked at her. We don't have to. She was already walking down. The stairwell led to a narrow basement corridor. It didn't match the rest of the house at all. Our place is mid-century remodeled. This felt like it had been built underneath something much older. We moved quietly. My phone's flashlight cut through the gloom, and then we heard it, a low, mechanical hum, almost like a generator or a fan, not loud, but definitely not ambient house noise. Do you feel that? Lena whispered. I nodded. There was a faint vibration under my feet. We followed the hum. The corridor led to a room, and what we saw inside changed everything. There was a table in the center, metal, clean, surgical almost. Next to it, a tall cabinet filled with, and I swear I'm not making this up, labeled vials, syringes, and what looked like biological samples. Tissue, blood, hair, each carefully bagged and tagged. There were notebooks, too. Open, full of diagrams, human anatomy, some sketches I didn't recognize, and cryptic notes written in Jake's handwriting. Then Lena picked up a photo from the table. Holy shit, she whispered. She turned it to me. It was a Polaroid of someone strapped to the table, face blurred, but definitely a person, definitely recent, and definitely not asleep. Lena looked up, eyes wide. Dude, what the hell is your roommate into? We stared at that photo for what felt like minutes too long. It was the kind of image your brain doesn't know how to process right away, like it's trying to protect you from understanding too quickly. The person in the picture, they weren't just restrained, they were terrified. Even through the blurring, whether it was motion or deliberate distortion, you could see their body twisted, tense, a clenched jaw, a look like they knew they weren't getting out. Lena broke the silence first. We need to leave now. She was right, but I didn't move because something on the table caught my eye. A black notebook, no title, but it was newer than the others, the edges still sharp. I flipped it open. Inside were dates, names, coordinates. Some entries were crossed out, others circled, and then on a page marked just 2 weeks ago my name, my full name underneath it, observed, confirmed compatibility, awaiting isolation. My blood ran cold. Lena must have seen my face. What is it? I showed her the page. Her lips moved silently for a second before she said, "Okay. F*** this. We're leaving and calling the cops." And we would have, but that's when the humming stopped. We froze, no sound, no vibration, just a silence that felt wrong. Then we heard it, the unmistakable creak of the door at the top of the stairs. Someone was home. We killed our flashlights immediately. Lena grabbed my arm and pulled me toward the far end of the room, where a tall metal shelf cast a deep shadow. We crouched behind it, barely breathing. Footsteps echoed down the stone stairs, slow, heavy. There was a pause. Then the lights flickered on those bare bulbs above us, buzzing to life, one by one, casting a cold yellow light over the table, the notebooks, the photos. I could see him in my periphery. Jake, he was wearing a dark jacket, gloves. He walked to the table, calm, like this was just another day. He picked up the black notebook, my notebook, and flipped through it. His brow furrowed slightly, like something wasn't quite right. He glanced around the room. I could feel Lena's grip tighten on my wrist. Jake turned and walked toward the shelf toward us. 5 steps away, then 3. Then he stopped. I held my breath so hard it hurt. Then he turned, went to the wall, and unlocked a metal door we hadn't seen before. Beyond it, more stairs, leading even deeper. Without a word, he descended. The hum returned fainter now. Whatever was down there, he was heading back to it. As soon as the metal door clicked shut, we moved. We sprinted up the stairs, through the hidden door, back into the closet. We slammed the panel shut, locked it, and ran out of the apartment without grabbing a single thing. We went straight to Lena's place. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on her couch, staring at the wall, replaying everything. In the morning, I went to the police. They took my statement, looked at me like I was insane, and said they'd investigate. I gave them the photos we took on my phone, including the one with my name in the book. They promised a follow-up. That was 5 days ago. Jake came back Monday morning. He acted like nothing had happened. Said his trip was great, showed me some pictures of a lake and a terrible erb. I kept it together long enough to nod and smile and tell him I was heading out for a few days. Then I left. The police. They called once, said they found no evidence of illegal activity in the unit, no basement, no locked door, no weird notebooks, nothing. I swear I'm not making this up. Jake texts me once a day now. Friendly stuff. Hey man, left some beer in the fridge. You still crashing at your friends? Let me know if you're good, happy to talk. But last night, he sent something else, just one photo. It was a picture of my bedroom. Taken from inside the closet, the photo sat there on my phone screen for a long time. My room. The closet door cracked just wide enough to frame my bed empty in the dark. Taken from inside. I hadn't been back since the day Lena and I ran. And yet, someone had been in there, recently, watching. I showed Lena. She went pale. He knows. She whispered, "He's messing with you." But it felt like more than that. It felt like a warning, or an invitation. I didn't sleep again that night. I stayed at Lena's place, curled up on the couch with a knife in hand and every light on. I kept checking the window, the hallway, her closet. Nothing happened, but the silence was worse than noise. Because now I knew Jake wasn't just a liar, he was deliberate. He wanted me afraid, he wanted me uncertain, and whatever was beneath our apartment, he didn't care that I'd seen it. He wanted me to know. The next morning, I got another message. You left the closet unlocked. It's not safe to leave things open. That was it. No photo, no explanation. Lena called the police again. Same response. No new findings, no probable cause. Nothing they could do unless I had proof he'd committed a crime. I almost screamed at them. Proof, I gave them photos, names, a damn notebook with my name in it. They claimed none of it was recovered. Said maybe I was under stress. That night, I did the one thing I hadn't yet. I called my parents. I tried to tell them what was happening, but I stopped myself halfway. How do you explain this without sounding insane? My mom just said I should come home for a while, rest, take a break. I almost agreed, but I couldn't leave Lena here. Not while Jake was still walking around like nothing had happened, and not until I knew the truth about what was behind that second locked door in the basement. Because one thing still haunted me. As Jake walked through that door, I'd caught a glimpse, just a flash of blue light, and something else, a shape, low to the floor, slumped or crouching, and a hand. Pressed to the glass, the plan was insane. I knew that, but it was simple. Lena would stay in a car outside. I'd pretend to move back in, act like everything was normal, wait until Jake left for one of his weekly late-night work shifts. Then I'd go back in. With a real flashlight, with backup ready to call 911, and a GoPro strapped to my chest. I needed evidence, real, undeniable proof. Something I could show the world. Something the cops couldn't ignore or fail to find. Jake was friendly as always when I returned. Said he was glad I was feeling better. We chatted about sports, he offered me pizza, and then just like clockwork he got a call, and said he'd be out until midnight. I waited 15 minutes. Then I opened the closet door and slid back the hidden panel. The stairs were darker than before, colder, but the hum was louder. I descended slowly, every step echoing like thunder in my chest. The table was untouched, the notebooks gone, but the metal door, the one Jake had gone through, was open. Inside, the blue light glowed faintly. The source, a wall of monitors, screens showing rooms, corridors, cells. Most were empty but one. Wasn't it showed me, standing right there in front of the monitors wearing the GoPro? Behind me a voice said, I told you not to leave things open. I didn't turn around, couldn't. My body froze, every nerve screaming. I stared at the monitor at the live feed of me, standing in front of a wall of surveillance screens, in a place that shouldn't exist, being watched from a camera I hadn't seen. Jake was behind me, and he knew everything. You weren't supposed to come back, he said, calm, almost sad. I slowly raised my hands. Jake, what is this? What are you doing? He stepped into view casual, relaxed, like we were just two roommates chatting in the kitchen. You wouldn't understand, not really, but I'll show you. And then he turned off the monitors, the room went dark, the hum stopped, the basement changed. I heard a click, a hiss of gas, my head swam. I woke up in a room I didn't recognize, concrete floor, no windows, a mirror on one wall, but I knew it wasn't a mirror. Not really. It was a two-way window. There were no cameras, just silence, and the faint, constant vibration of some machine deeper underground. My chest ached, my thoughts were slow. I was wearing the same clothes, no phone, no GoPro. The door was locked, but not sealed. Someone wanted me to try and escape. I waited, minutes, hours. Time didn't make sense down there. Then the door clicked and opened. Jake stood there, holding a tablet. He gestured for me to follow, and somehow I did. He led me down a corridor, past rooms like mine. Most were empty, one wasn't. I only saw her for a moment, but it was enough. The girl from the photo, the one I'd seen in the notebook, the one he claimed was just a friend from class, she looked up. Her eyes were wide, unfocused. Her mouth moved, but no sound came out. Jake said nothing. Just walked. Eventually, we entered a large room filled with cables, humming servers, and strange glass enclosures lining the walls. Inside them, people, some were sleeping, some staring blankly. One pressed her hand to the glass as we passed. Just like the figure I saw before. What the hell is this? I demanded. Jake turned to me, smiled, but it wasn't smug this time, it was. Proud. Behavioral research, he said. Conditioning. Response tracking. Environmental triggers. It's not just about watching. It's about control. He showed me the tablet. Each subject had a profile, name, history, habits, fear responses. One profile was open. Mine, you were never supposed to go downstairs. That was the first test. I stared at the screen. It showed everything, my routines, conversations with Lena, my texts. Even this every moment from the GoPro streamed live to the tablet. So what now? I asked. You keep me down here. He shook his head. No, that's the second test. And he turned and walked away. The lights dimmed and a door opened at the far end of the hall. No guards, no cameras, just silence. He was watching, testing, and I had one choice: run. Or find out what he was really trying to create down here. I didn't run. I stepped through the door. It wasn't bravery. It wasn't curiosity. It was the awful certainty that none of this would stop unless I found the source, the heart of whatever Jake was building. The hallway beyond was colder, carved directly into the earth. No concrete, no wires, just stone and silence. The door shut behind me and locked. I kept moving. Bare bulb lights flickered above me, getting dimmer the deeper I went. I passed more rooms, not cells, not quite, more like observation chambers. Each one had a bed, a mirror, a camera, all exactly the same. In one, the walls were smeared with writing frantic phrases over and over. He watches when I sleep. Don't look at the mirror. Jake is not Jake. That one was empty, but someone had written that recently. Eventually I reached a vault door thick, industrial, with no handle, beside it. A biometric scanner and keypad, and above it, a camera. I stared at it. I know you're watching, I said. What is this place, Jake? What the hell are you doing? Nothing. Then the scanner blinked green, the door unlocked, it opened slowly, groaning like it hadn't moved in years. Inside was a lab, and in the center a chair, metal, strapped, hooked to machines, wires, monitors, facing a wall of mirrors. One of them wasn't a mirror, it was a screen. It came to life as I stepped inside. Jake appeared on the screen. I needed to be sure. He said, voice slightly distorted, that you'd come this far. Why, what am I to you? I shouted. He leaned forward on the screen. You're the variable. I blinked. The what? Everyone else followed patterns, routine, habits, predictable behavior. You broke that. You disobeyed. You investigated. You resisted. He smiled. That's rare and useful. Then the lights dimmed, and the straps on the chair snapped open. I'm not sitting in that. I said out loud. Jake tilted his head on the screen. You don't have to. A second door opened behind the chair, and I realized this was it. I could walk away, maybe, or I could sit in that chair and see what this all meant, who I was to him, what the experiment really tested. I should have left, but I sat down. The straps didn't move, but the mirror turned on. And this time, I wasn't alone in the reflection. Behind me in the mirror stood me, another version, pale, thin, sunken eyes, smiling, and then it whispered, he made me first. I tried to look over my shoulder. Nothing. The room behind me was empty, no one there. But the mirror still showed that figure standing just behind me, a perfect replica. A version of me twisted by sleepless nights, hunger, and something worse, understanding. Who are you? I asked. It smiled wider. Its voice was still mine, but frayed, layered, wrong. I was the first one who sat in the chair, the first who questioned, the first who didn't leave. Jake made me, or maybe he let me happen. I stood up. The reflection didn't. It stayed seated, still grinning. It's not a mirror. It said, it's a window. You're not looking at yourself. You're looking at what comes next. The screen blinked to life again, Jake's face reappearing. He looked pleased. It responded to you. He said, most don't last long enough to hear it speak. I clenched my fists. What is it? Jake didn't answer directly. You've seen the rooms, the others, failed iterations. Each one brought closer to stability, but they lacked something. Imagination. He leaned forward. You saw patterns in the walls. You followed threads that weren't there. You imagined a conspiracy and in doing so found one. I backed away. The reflection stood now. Still smiling, still not matching me. Let me go. I said, I'm not part of this. Jake's voice softened. That's what they all say. But you are part of this. You were chosen. Because reality bends for people like you, it leaks. The lights flickered. The chair behind me folded into the floor, and the mirror the window shimmered. Then the reflection reached forward and touched the other side. My skin went cold. There was no glass, only an invisible barrier thinning. Splitting, then, a hand emerged, mine but not. Trembling, clawed at the edges of the mirror. Jake's voice, calm, distant, godlike. It wants to switch. They always do. I ran, back through the lab. Past the cells, the writing, the lights, back to the door that had locked behind me. It was open. I didn't question it. I climbed the stairs, heart pounding, lungs burning, through the hallway, past the mannequins. Out the storage room, up the ladder, I burst into the apartment. Everything looked normal. Jake wasn't there. The fridge hummed. My phone buzzed on the table. I picked it up. One notification. Video file received. You made IT. I didn't press play. I didn't need to, because I saw the mirror near the bathroom, and in the reflection, I was still downstairs, smiling. I didn't breathe. I couldn't. The reflection me, still in the basement, was smiling. Slowly it raised its hand and tapped on the inside of the mirror. Tap, tap, tap. Not glass, not echo, invitation. I staggered back. My phone buzzed again. Another video. No title this time, just a thumbnail. It was me standing in front of this very mirror, except the eyes were wrong, too wide, too still. I swiped it away. I ran to the front door, locked. The deadbolt turned without resistance, but the door wouldn't open. No matter how hard I pulled, it held fast, as if the air on the other side was heavier than the door itself. Then the lights dimmed, and a voice mine from behind whispered, "We've already switched." I turned slowly. The apartment was the same, but not. The walls seemed too clean, the angles too sharp. The buzzing hum of the fridge was rhythmic, almost musical, like breathing, and then I saw the note, pinned to the fridge. On the same yellow paper I'd seen in the basement, I walked toward it, heart pounding. 4 words written in that perfect, slanted hand, "Stay in your room." I tore it down. Behind it, etched into the steel of the fridge door, was a phrase, "Observation successful. Integration pending." I screamed, loud, ragged. I wasn't in the apartment. I wasn't out. This was another room, another simulation, another layer. I looked at my hands, my arms. They weren't bleeding anymore. No cuts, no bruises. Perfect, too perfect, like plastic, like a mannequin. Jake's voice echoed again, not from a speaker this time, but from inside me. "You kept asking who I was, but you should have asked what you were." The mirror showed the basement again. Jake sat in the chair now, smiling. Next to him stood the reflection, the other me, watching through the window. Jake waved. "Thanks for your help," he said. "Most subjects fight the integration. You embraced it. Congratulations." The mirror flickered. "You're finally real, static." The apartment reset, clean, unoccupied. The mirror reflected nothing now, just an empty room, waiting.